I think I got into entrepreneurship because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't know necessarily what it felt like to fail, because yeah, and what I mean by that sort of sounds pretentious. I grew up in a really tiny town. I graduated with like 50 kids. And so we were all kind of, I didn't know what else was out there. There was no other school to compare it to. There, my parents' jobs were similar to everybody else's job. It was a rural part of the country. And so I had no kind of comparison for what success looks like and what failure looks like. It's just we all were kind of doing it. But one thing that did happen that gave me confidence in music was we had a music festival in the town, and the woman who booked all the bands was a friend of my mom, and she would let me dig through all the old press packs. And so it'd be like VHS tapes and black and white photos from bands in the mid 90s. And every year she would let me pick one band that could play at the festival. And I think I was 12. And I picked some cool bands, and I got to see like what press was and what marketing material was. And she kind of let me pick bands all the way until I went to college. And then I went to school in Vermont, and I actually would hear bands at clubs and be like, you got to go play this festival in upstate New York. Around that time, one of my friend's bands was just touring through, and I said, I could book you a gig. So I booked them a show at a coffee shop, and they made $30. It was like pass the hat. But there was a woman in the audience that was part of like the school board who could bring bands to the college. And she said, you brought them here? Like, could you get them to play at, whatever the hall was? And I said, sure. So I actually had a contract from one of those festival shows from a band, and I literally like crossed their name out, and I like put our band's name on top of it. And I think she gave us a gig for $1,800, which was like so much money. I mean, like game changer. It's like a joke, because the band would never make that much in a year playing coffee shops on their own. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And after that happened, the band was like, oh, you should be our manager. And it just kind of never stopped, Now, all of that said, a lot of times when I look back at the decisions we made, I didn't have health insurance till I was probably like 30, and I didn't know what a 401k was, and I didn't know what it felt like to live without credit card debt. I mean, there's a lot of challenges for a really long time that if I would have known how hard it would have been, I don't know if I could have tried, if that makes sense.